Hi, I'm Steve Caseley from CBT Nuggets, and this MicroNugget is focused on the roles and responsibilities of the Scrum team, the people who do the work to develop the code for our Scrum project. The Scrum team is where all of the work gets done. Ideally, a Scrum team should be about 7 people, plus or minus 2 people. So in reality, a Scrum team can be anywhere from 5 to 9, but the focus is going to be on the 7. And the 7 is not a magical number, but the 7 is what is generally considered to be the size of a group that can effectively work together in a self-organizing, self-managing aspect. And that's key to Scrum. Self-managed group. There is no project manager, there is no Scrum Manager, there is a Scrum Master, but the Scrum Master is the subject matter expert in all things Scrum. The Scrum Master is not an overall taskmaster responsible for keeping the Scrum team focused. The Scrum team is self-managing, self-organizing. In order for that to work, I believe it's critical that the egos get parked at the door. The Scrum team has to work together to steal from the Star Wars or syndrome. The Scrum team has to work as the Borg. They have to be the collective. I'm not sure I want my Scrum team going out and assimilating others and bringing them in, but then again, that's not a bad idea, because the more Scrum expertise we have in our organization, the better off we're going to be. But let's leave the Borg aside. Egos stay at the door. We want the Scrum team to work effectively together. And in order for the Scrum team to be effective, most skills, and I will repeat, most skills needed for the project need to be within those 7 people on the project itself. So every team member needs to have the ability to do some analysis, to do some design, to do some development, to do some testing, to do some documentation, to do some training, to do some ... Each and every team member as I said, most skills need to be embedded in each and every team member. But there may be some very specialty skills. See, these are the ones I've listed off by the side. DBA skills. Ideally, one of our team members, one of our 7, has enough capacity to do simple changes to the database to allow the Scrum, the sprint, to continue. Now, that may be causing some concern for you DBAs or database gurus out there, saying, how can the uneducated change the database effectively? Again, I said minor changes, adding a column. We will probably still need some support from a true DBA at times in the project. So these are added as needed. These what I would call is the extended Scrum team. Do not participate in all of the Scrum rituals. Come in to do the specific DBA work required for a sprint. Come in to do the specific network required for a sprint. Come in to do the specific server admin work required for a sprint, and then leave. They're invited guests for the period of time, and only for the period of time that they're needed to do their specific skill sets, and then they go back to the general organizational pool. But we want each and every team member to be able to do some analysis, to do some design development. Ideally, team member 1 takes story X and completes it. Team member 1 takes story X, does 2 hours of analysis, does half an hour of design, does 6 hours of development, does 3 hours of testing, does half an hour of documentation, and the story is done. And if it's a simple story, a routine story, ideally each and every team member is capable of doing that. But if we get a much more complex story, so story Y is far more complicated, and we have a very senior team member in team member number 1, team member number 1 is going to do the 4 hours of analysis. Team member 1 may also do the 4 hours of design, and then say, there, I've taken this far enough. Team member 3, you're a little more junior, but you're really excited about developing in this particular technology. You do the 16 hours of development. So a story does not have to ride exclusively or rest exclusively with a single team member. It's more than feasible for a story to be passed from one team member to another as we exploit the specific skills within our team. This concludes our discussion, our overview on the Scrum Team, a very exciting possibility for people looking to advance their careers. I hope this has been informative for you, and thank you for viewing.